Hey everyone, welcome to the 8th devlog for my game. So, this week I'm hoping to implement a few types of ranged combat, as well as a few viewer suggestions from the last video's comments. This should be my best produced devlog yet, and now that summer is started and school is over, I should be able to keep producing high quality devlogs. Okay everyone, so today is Monday and we're going to get straight to work. It is currently 8:50 a.m. and I'm actually really excited and motivated to start working on the game today, so I'm really happy about that. Now, like I said, we're going to be really focusing on ranged combat for this devlog. I really want to get some solid feeling, ranged combat for the player. And we're going to start working on that today, as well as implementing a viewer suggestion by Darth Starkiller. So let's just get right into it. So for the game, I think what would fit in a sort of top-down format would be some sort of, throwing knife. And I think this is going to be more loosely based on Terraria's throwing knife item. And I think it'll just fit really well in the game. So first of all, I'm going to show you what the throwing knife in Terraria looks like, and then we're going to jump to sort of a planning segment where I try and plan out the entire concept in a notebook, and you'll see a little time lapse, and I'll sort of walk you through it. Okay, so we're actually here in Terraria. This is, the first time we've ever done this in a devlog. And I'm going to sort of show off the throwing knife item. So here we have it. It's very early game in Terraria, and I think I want to have this sort of the same concept for my game. A very early game item, and you can see if I throw it, it goes a little bit distance, so it doesn't travel extremely far. However, it's very useful. You can use it pretty quickly, and I think this will be useful for killing the heat spirit enemies, but I think also range combat is kind of needed pre-Goblin Chief, just because using melee attacks on him is actually pretty hard to time, and I think using melee with sort of a combo of some sort of range weapon would be really good for the game. So yeah, we're going to start with making throwing knives, so let's jump into planning these. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly jump into A Sprite, and we're going to sort of get some concept art going for this. And yeah, let's see you in there. Okay, so I finished doing all the concept art for the throwing knives, and I'm going to try and keep this sort of devlog segment a little bit shorter, so I'm literally just going to go straight into beginning work, and then I'm going to show you the final product for the throwing knives. Alright, so the throwing knives are completed, as you can see. A slime conveniently showed up to accept their death with my throwing knives, so they achieve all the effects I wanted them to. The way they work is you simply just throw one and it'll travel. When it hits a solid, an enemy, or it goes for 2.5 seconds, it'll delete itself, and it travels at a decent speed. It also has a pretty nice animation in my opinion. It fades out and in. So yeah, that is the throwing knife completed and ready to go. So we're now going to move on to implementing a viewer suggestion. Okay everyone, so the viewer suggestion we're going to be tackling today is by Darth Starkiller, who said, I think some nice visual feedback for the player would be to add some footprints from the player. Other than that, these were some great additions. So thank you to you for the comment, and I also think that footprints would be a really good idea. So we're going to implement that today. Alright, the footsteps are now done completely, so you'll notice here, wherever my player walks to, these footsteps will sort of fill in the way. They go left, right, so they kind of go with whatever foot you're standing on, so whatever direction they'll actually move to orient towards that. So if I go up, you see it goes from the left to the right, so it'll switch off each time. Works really nicely, and additionally the color of the footstep is what your body color is, your player body color, and these are synced across the network, which means that if you're playing in multiplayer and you have, say, 3 friends, all of which have different color players, they'll all have different color footsteps, which I think is a really unique and dynamic mechanic, because it means that you can actually see where your friends are going and where they've been. And these have a 20-second timer on them before they fade out and disappear. So You can, if you ever get lost in the map, you can sort of trace your steps, which I think is huge for the game. And yeah, so that was a really good suggestion. Thank you to Death Star Killer. And that'll be the conclusion to Monday's work. Hey everyone, so today's Tuesday, and it's about 5:37 p.m. and I'm going to start working on the game for the day. Now I started filling out everything in Trello here, and the way these tags work is essentially I mark them with a date and then what version. So currently we're working on 0.3.8. Last number is the devlog number, second number is sort of the pre-alpha version, and so you'll see ones like these are 0.9, so these are to come in the future, but all these over here is what we need to do now, and this one is marked as Tuesday. So all I'm going to do for Tuesday is add a running animation to the player. The suggestion was made by Lima, and they said maybe an idle / walking animation for the player would look good. So we're going to try that out today and see how it looks. Okay everyone, so I worked on it for a little bit and it's obviously not working at all. It's working a little bit and the animation is very bad, but I just want to show you a few bugs that I thought were kind of funny. So in fact I can't, oh there you go. So you can see it does, the animation is very bad at the moment. I just wanted to test it, but if I try and swing, nothing happens. If I stop moving, it just plays that really loud sound. And I can't use any weapons if I switch here. Oh, it played it that time, but as you can see it's very buggy, so I just thought that was kind of funny. And you can also throw infinite projectiles. Yeah, this is very weird. So yeah, I'm gonna fix this up, but I just thought I'd show this. Okay everyone, so I've finished the player animating and it should be working now. So as we can see, we can run around here and our player will animate. As soon as I use a weapon or tool, it'll stop the animation and begin the animation for the actual weapon. If I'm not moving, it obviously doesn't play the animation. And I can just go as normal. So it seems to be working. I'm not too happy about the animation at the minute. So I'll likely change that later, but as for now, I think this is fine. And since it's kind of late, I decided that I am not going to do much more than this. It's currently 6:30 at night, and I want to go do some other stuff. So we're going to call Tuesday here, and then tomorrow we're going to get into more ranged combat stuff. It is now Wednesday at about 5:29 p.m. and I'm ready to work on some more ranged combat for my game. So today I hope to add bows, arrows, as well as a fletching table for crafting. So to start off, I'm going to be implementing the arrows and fletching table, and then later I'll move on to implementing the bow. So actually here, maybe a week or two ago, I already drew all the concept art for this. I would normally save this for a devlog, but I was just bored that day, so I decided to draw it. So as you can see, we already have quite a few of the items sort of drawn. The only thing I have to draw now is the arrow icon in the inventory, and I'm going to do a bit of work on this just to add on to it. So what I'm going to do now is essentially just resprite a little bit and implement a few more sprites, and then I'm going to work on adding it to the game. Okay everyone, so I've just finished implementing all the different items into the game. They're not functional yet, but I did make the recipes and the station, so I thought I'd just show that off real quick and then I'll get into that. So the way we make a fletching table, it requires these materials over here. So it's after you kill the Goblin Chief boss, and then you can craft the fletching table as you can see here. So we'll craft that, and it's pretty much identical to the crafting table. There it is, and click on that, and we get four new options rather. That is the wooden arrow, the flint arrow, the iron arrow, and the wooden bow. So wooden arrows will do 1 damage, flint will do 1.5, and iron will do 2, and the wood bow by default does 1.5. So the arrow damage will stack on top of the bow damage, and that's sort of the way I think the bow system will work. Obviously, each one of them requires a goblin hide. That way, you can only obtain these after you kill the first boss, and you get 25, so I'd say it's pretty good. So now I'm just going to give the bow functionality, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to start by planning out the bow. Okay, so I just finished all the planning for the bow, as you can see, and now I'm going to implement it into the game. Okay everyone, so I've completely finished the bow and arrow system after quite a lot of coding and animating. Now, it's not completely done. I'm sure I'll change sprites and definitely damage values because they are a little bit overpowered at the minute, but I thought I'd just show the final product. So the way that the bow and arrow works is it checks your inventory for any type of arrow, and the first one that's in this list it'll use. Now, this is very inconvenient to the player, but the only reason I'm leaving it like this for this devlog is because the next devlog we're going to be completely rewriting the inventory. And you'll see why, and you'll understand that it'll be much easier when I rework the inventory. So the way the bow works as well is that it takes the base damage of whatever bow you have and it adds the arrow damage on top of that. So you can have really good arrows and that'll add the damage to your bow. So there's 3 types of arrows in the game: wooden arrows, which we're going to try out first, and then there's obviously flint and iron. Wood does 1, flint does 1.5, and iron does 2, so it'll add that to your base bow damage to get up to 3.5 damage if you have iron arrows. And if we go test this out here, I'll just kind of show it off, if we can find something to actually damage, which doesn't seem like we can do so. Here we go, strange slime. So if I fire at this guy, you can see that with wood arrows we do 2.5 damage, and I think that's okay, probably a little bit too much, but I think that it's actually very fun to play around with the bow and arrow for some reason. Like, it's just really satisfying. It's a really satisfying way of killing things. But yeah, that's the bow and arrow in the game. Like I said, it'll just choose an arrow, so if I have iron arrows in here, it'll just select that and show that. So overall, we got a lot done this week, and I'm really happy with the way the combat and the suggestions turned out. I think the bow and throwing knives really work in the game, and I think they really turned out very well. Additionally, the implementation of footsteps as well as a player animating when they're running, I think really adds a lot of feel to the game, and it makes it feel a lot more alive. Once again, if you have any suggestions, you can always leave them in the comments, and you'll have a pretty high chance of being in the next video. So yeah, with all that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.